when Elizabeth had originally asked me to talk, I thought it would probably be a good idea if I got Devin's permission. I just wanted to make sure that he was okay with me, sharing our story and talking a little bit about his story. And he said, yeah, Adam, that's absolutely fine. And he said, but under one condition, you have to come clean to that audience that every time we play Fortnite, I beat you in more trash than I do. So that's 100% true. He's really good, but I'm not. So I met Devin about 2.5 years ago, and he was 10 years old at the time. As Elizabeth had mentioned, I was wanting to get back to the community and wanted to do it through mentoring, and specifically with Big Brothers Big Sisters, because of the one-on-one nature and the community-based mentoring that happens in Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I've just seen over time and truly believe that it has the greatest impact. So Devin and I were matched for about 1.5 years up here in Omaha. And in that 1.5 years, he was in 3 different foster homes, along with his younger brother and younger sister. I learned early on in our match that Devin was put into situations early in his childhood, and to be honest with you, since I've met him, to where he's had to be the adult and make decisions. Because at the age of 9, Devin made a courageous decision to report the substance abuse issues and the neglect that was going on in the home. And he did that out of love and care for his younger brother and sister. He's always looking out for them. So I can't imagine at that age the stress or the anxiety that he had to go through to make that decision. So, I've always applauded him on making that decision. He knew that his parents would get in trouble. He knew that they'd be removed from the home. He knew that his younger brother and sister would be upset with them, and other family members wouldn't react very kindly either, but he still made the courageous decision to do that. So in the spring of 2017, we began to meet pretty regularly. And it became really important to me that there became consistencies with our visits. I shouldn't assume that he's going to trust me right away, right? Every adult in his life up to that point, or nearly every adult, in some way, shape, or form had let him down, had broken promises, had broken commitments to him. And so when I talk about consistency, it was showing up on time. It was doing the activities we said we were going to do. It was not breaking promises or commitments to him. And that, more than any activity or any conversation we ever had, built trust and developed our relationship really quickly. One of the things as a product of his environment that you would get to know is that Devin's an extremely loyal and protective big brother to his siblings, but also his friends. So there would be situations that might arise at school where he'd get into a fight or a scuffle and get in trouble as a result. Shortly after I met him, he had just gotten into one, and we talked a lot that summer about how he could approach those situations, how he might do it differently in the future. And so the start of the next school year came along. There was a situation early on at school where it easily could have escalated into a fight, but he backed down. He walked away. And I remember asking him, why did you choose to back down this time as opposed to the first time? And he said, well, no one had ever sat down and talked to me about the consequences. And then he said, I knew that it would disappoint my foster parents. I knew it would disappoint you if I got in trouble. And so it just hit me that there's impact to these relationships and there's impact to mentoring when you hear a comment like that come out of a 10-year-old kid. One of the best sources of feedback, honestly, that I ever got in the 1.5 years we were matched up here in Omaha was from the 3rd foster home he was in. And that foster parent pulled me aside and said, Adam, the reason your relationship's so impactful is because it's obvious you care a lot about Devin and his siblings and what they're going through. But even more than that is the fact that Devin knows you care. And so just giving kids some care and some hope definitely builds confidence, and you can see it in the relationships firsthand. So today, Devin lives 1,000 miles away. He moved down there, as Elizabeth mentioned, to be with his forever family. We're still in contact regularly. He came up and visited me for 2 or 3 days this summer. Today I still play Fortnite with him. I will get on there and let him beat me for 2 hours on Fortnite, because when I do, he'll open up and start to talk and share what's going on. And when he talks, 90% of the time, all I have to do is listen. About 10% of the time, I will try to give some advice, but he's 12 now, so his personality's matured a little bit. And it's funny because most of the time when I start to give advice, he'll go, yeah, I know what you're going to say. But despite that comment, I know he's listening, and I know what I say means something to him because we have mutual trust. And so, in that vein, what's really special about Big Brothers Big Sisters is the impact that it has not just on the littles, but the bigs as well. Mentoring is truly a two-way street. He has given me more perspective, better perspective, made me less selfish, made me value relationships more. And to be honest with you, after a couple months in getting to know the kids in this program and being matched with Devin, it doesn't become about volunteering. It becomes about making time for someone and caring for someone that's in your life and integrating your lives together. That's where the true impact comes from. Up there now was taken about 2.5 weeks ago, right up here in Omaha. And it's Devin and his siblings had come up to be officially adopted, ending years of being in foster care. And so I was fortunate enough to be there that day at the courthouse and their adoption party afterwards. And I was there primarily because of our relationship through Big Brothers Big Sisters, but I was also there because the family asked me to serve in a godparent type role to Devin and his siblings. And so when I was up here and Devin was talking to me about it, he informed me that that was actually his idea, that was something he wanted to happen. And so if that doesn't speak to the impact this program can have, I don't know what can. And what's really cool is it's a one-on-one relationship, and that's unique to Big Brothers Big Sisters compared to other mentoring organizations. And the lifelong bond and the lifelong relationship you can create is something that's really special. So our match was 1.5 years here in Omaha, but it's because of this organization that we're able to have this lifelong relationship and lifelong impact. So I know that my story is one of many, but I can say confidently that none of this would have been possible without the donations and the money that comes into this organization. Big Brothers Big Sisters uses that to really intentionally set up matches. They use it to support bigs in working with the littles and developing relationships with them and the parents so that you can have this type of impact. With foster care specifically, which was Devin's situation, I was always fearful every time he moved that we would lose contact, and he was extremely scared about that. But Big Brothers Big Sisters wasn't going to let that happen. And so if you look at the impact that's had, if they didn't have a dedicated foster care team to support those types of matches specifically, that very easily could have happened. So at the end of the day, I'm really thankful for this organization because it's made this relationship possible. It's made the relationship with Devin, his siblings, and his family possible. I know that his parents, newly adoptive parents, are grateful. I know I'm extremely grateful. And for a 12-year-old kid who's been through an awful lot, it's changed his trajectory in his life forever. So thank you for that opportunity.